Hey, what's up, you guys? How's everyone doing today? So today we're going to be moving forward with similar polygons. So it's actually going to be the last day we're covering this. Tomorrow we're going to look at congruent triangles. So for today, you just have a worksheet to complete. It's 6 problems. I'm going to show you guys how to do the first 3 of them if you guys need extra help or are still confused after yesterday's lesson. And then hopefully after I show you how to do the first 3, you guys will know how to do the remaining 3. So if you feel pretty comfortable with similar polygons, feel free to either fast forward, or after yesterday's lesson, feel free to fast forward through this video, or you can only watch parts, whatever you feel like you need extra help with. So before we dive into this worksheet, I like to have, a handful of either markers, crayons, colored pencils to help me know which side corresponds to, or which sides correspond to each other and angles. And then obviously as well, need a pencil, an eraser. You can use a pen. I always like doing math and pencil just so it's easier to erase your mistakes because everyone makes mistakes with math. It's bound to happen sooner or later. And that should be good. If you want a calculator too, calculator is always handy. Always a good tool to have. So let's begin. Are these polygons similar? Explain why or why not using complete sentences. So we can see that this angle right here is congruent to this angle because they both have 1 tick marks. So those correspond to each other. This angle corresponds to this angle, 2 tick marks. This angle is congruent to this angle. And the angle with 4 tick marks corresponds to this angle. So it looks like this shape was flipped in a way, or reflected. So let's go ahead and see which sides correspond to which sides. So on this smaller figure, I'm going to color in the side that's between 1 and 2 tick marks. I'm going to do that purple. And then likewise, I'm going to find the side that is on this figure between 1 and 2 tick marks. And I'm going to label that purple. So I know that side corresponds with that side. And then let's see. I'm going to label the side between 2 tick marks and 3 tick marks. I'll do that one red. And then likewise, let's see, here's 2 and 3 tick marks. I'm going to label that one red as well. So I know those sides correspond with each other. I'm going to go ahead and label the side on this one between 1 and 4 tick marks. I'm going to label that side blue. And then again, find the side between 1 and 4 tick marks. Going to label that blue. So those sides correspond to each other. And then the side between 4 tick marks and 3 tick marks, we'll label that one green. And then label this one green as well, because that's between 4 and 3 tick marks, so those correspond to each other. So now that we know which sides correspond to each other, let's see if we can figure out if these are similar. So we can pick any 2 sides from these triangles. It doesn't matter. I'll go ahead and test if the purple sides, see the proportion between the purple sides, see if that matches the proportion of different corresponding sides. So I chose 5/7. And is this going to equal? And then again, we can pick any other sides we would like, just as long as we keep consistent that the smaller figure is in the numerator and the bigger figure is in the denominator. So I'm going to test the red side, see if 5/7 equals 13/15. And you could have picked any 2 sides. You could have done is 5/7 equivalent to 6/8, is 10/13 equivalent to 13/15. It doesn't matter. Well, 5/7 comes to about 0.7. And is this going to equal? And then 13/15 comes out to about 0.9. So no, these are not equal. And thus, these polygons are not similar. No. And that is because the sides are not proportional. Or corresponding sides our similarity ratio should be consistent with any corresponding sides we test, and is not consistent here. So these figures are not similar. Let's try number 2. Triangle ABC is similar to triangle DEF. Give the similarity ratio of ABC to DEF. So again, we're given that because we're given the orientation of these shapes. So angle A should be congruent to D, angle B should be congruent to E, angle C should be congruent to F. So I'm going to go ahead and label A blue, and because A corresponds to D, I'm going to do that one as blue as well. And then again, I'm going to go ahead and label this side blue. And I like doing this with triangles because it works very easily, but just the side that's across from that angle. So if I make this angle the blue angle, the side directly across from it, I'm going to make that blue. So I know that side corresponds to that side, that angle corresponds to that angle. Let's get red marker. We know angle B is going to be congruent to angle E. And I'm going to go ahead and label this side the red side because that's directly across from the red angle. And then likewise with this triangle. So I know that side corresponds to that side. And then angle C corresponds or is congruent to angle F. And this side is directly across from the green angle, so that's going to be the green side. Now we have to give the similarity ratio of ABC to DEF. Well, we want to make sure we start with ABC. So we could pick any sides. We could do the blue, the red, or the set of green sides. Let's try the set of blue sides. So we're going to have 3 over 9. And what does that simplify to? Simplifies to 1/3. So that will be the similarity ratio of triangle ABC to DEF. And likewise with this, it doesn't matter which sides we test. If we tested the green sides, the corresponding green sides, just as long as we have 4 in the numerator, because that comes from triangle ABC, over 12, well, that's also going to give us 1/3. And then likewise, if we did 6 over 18, that will give us 1/3 as well. So 1/3 will be our similarity ratio. Now, for doing problem number 3, we have THINK is similar to LARGE. Find AL, RA, RG, and KN. So we can go ahead and we know that T is going to correspond, angle T corresponds to angle L. So T corresponds to L. Angle H corresponds to angle A, or they're congruent to each other. Angle I corresponds to angle R. Angle N corresponds to angle G. And angle K corresponds to angle E, or is congruent to angle E. And again, that just helps me visualize kind of what's going on. We can see that this is a little bit more straightforward to read because it's just taking this shape and then translating it down a couple of units and then dilating it to make it larger. So no rotations have occurred here, no reflections have occurred. So it makes it a little bit straightforward, more straightforward for us. So find AL. All right, so we don't know what AL is. So AL, right here, over, so this side between the blue and the purple angles is going to correspond, AL is going to correspond to TH because that is also between the blue and the purple angles. So AL over 3, or you could even see it as like LA, AL, corresponds to TH because those are the first 2 letters of our similarity statement, equals. And then let's see, well, we're given a 12 here, but we don't have a value for Kn, so we can't do 12 over Kn. We wouldn't be able to solve for AL. So we would have to do this side 8 over 4, because this side LE corresponds to TK, because they're both between the blue and the pink angles. So now we're just going to go ahead and cross multiply. So we have 4AL equals, and then 8 times 3, 24, divide by 4, divide by 4, and we're left with AL equals 6. All right, there's one of our answers. We can go ahead and plug that in. Now we have to find RA. RA is right here. So RA, this side is going to correspond to HI. So RA over 5 equals, and then again we could do the 8 over 4 if we wanted to again, or we could do 6 over 3. It doesn't matter, just as long as we have the larger figure in the numerator and the smaller one in the denominator. We'll get the same answer either way. We could do 6 over 3 equals 6 over 3. Again, we're going to cross multiply. So 3 times RA equals 6 times 5, 30. Divide both sides by 3. We're left with RA equals 10. All right, so now we can go ahead and write that in. RG, so that's going to be this side. RG is between the green and the red angle. IN is also between the green and the red angle. So we know that RG is going to correspond to IN. So I'm going to write that over here. RG over 2 should equal. And then we could do the 10 over the 5. We could do the 8 over the 4. It doesn't matter. Just as long as we make sure those sides are corresponding and the bigger figure is in the numerator. So now we're going to go ahead and cross multiply. And we're left with 4RG equals 16. Divide both sides by 4. And RG equals 4. All right, cool. And now we just have to find Kn. So if we're going to start with Kn, we're going to solve for Kn. Kn. Well, this is going to correspond, it's between the pink and the red angle. So it's going to correspond to EG, because it's also between the pink and the red angle. EG, oh. And we know that EG equals 12. Now, because we start with the smaller figure in the numerator, we're going to have to keep that consistent, and we have the larger figure in the denominator. So we can pick any side we would like. We could do 5 over 10, because we know HI corresponds to AR, equals 5 over 10. Or we could do 4 over 8, 3 over 6. Doesn't matter. We'll get the same answer either way. Now cross multiplying, we're left with 10Kn equals 12 times 5 is going to give us 60. Divide both sides by 10. Divide both sides by 10. We're left with Kn equals 6.